Hello, my friends. John LaRuffa here with another Unbiased unboxing. And in this episode, we are going to take a look at Pocket Paladin. All right, so Pocket Paladin is a very small game that is supposed to be Mage Knight-like, and it comes in this little thing so you can kind of hold it in your wallet. All right, I also have the rulebook here, which I actually have read. And so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. If you have, I really do appreciate that support. Thank you very much. So I was given this copy by the designer himself to take a look at it. And he asked me if I like Mage Knight, which I do, although I don't own a copy anymore because I changed it over to the Star Trek Frontiers kind of version of Mage Knight. I do appreciate the game, very good. And he said, well, my goal in this whole thing was to make a Mage Knight that would fit in your pocket. I said, well, I'm very interested in taking a look at that. Let me see. So let's see what we've got here. So we've got a couple things that came in the bag, and let's see if there's any differences or if he gave me two copies. All right, so first, let's open this up. Or I should say, let's slide this out. All right, so out comes all of the components here on this one. And we have, first let's take a look at this map. So this map is like a bonus map right here, okay? The side one can be put on for a longer or more difficult adventure. But the regular game, the regular map, consists of these two cards. And, excuse me, you will flip over one of the other cards after you kind of get to the top of the map to extend your journey in order to finish the game. And in order to win the game, I guess it's like that. In order to win the game, you are trying to beat the monsters in the castle before the time runs out, okay? And there are two types of castles. There's two types of monsters. Basically, there's mages, which are the purple ones, and then there's the monsters, which are the red. And in general, as you can imagine, the mages use magic stuff, and the purple monsters, the red ones use more physical attacks. And what you're doing is you have, depending on your difficulty, a certain amount of time in order to get to the castle and win. And in a very similar way, this is like the conquest mode of Mage Knight. And the author, that was his whole inspiration. He said, that's what I want to do. I'm trying to make a version of that that's like this, but you can walk around with it in your wallet. Now, what else we have here? This is our stats card, and there's two sides, okay? There's this card, this side right here, which is for the purple paladin, and then there's this side for the red paladin, okay? And the difference really comes down to the way they work with their skills and their allies. So the red paladin starts out with a skill at level 1, and the purple starts out with the ability to hire an ally right away at level 1. And then they have two different versions of the cards, but the versions are pretty similar. Like there's a little bit of a difference here. For instance, you can see in this red one, you know, this is different than that. and there's a little bit there. But the card itself is how you're taking your turns, okay? And I'll go into that in my solo review after I give this game more time. But I'm just kind of telling you about it. Now, you also have these tokens. These tokens are quite thin because they've got to fit inside this little card of yours. And so they are a little bit on the fragile side. But this is what you have when you're playing. So you've got, these are your monsters, and if you flip it over, they're your allies. Now, I will say, for a very small game, you've got to be aware that this is pretty small, okay? Which is great for a pocket. But if you have trouble with, maybe like nearsightedness or whatever, or vision issues, this is going to be a little tough because you've got to read these small little, fonts and everything else. So just be aware of that. It's legible for sure, but they are on the small side. So bring some reading glasses. Okay, so then you have these 3 resource trackers here, which track your 3 crystals, and they are colorblind friendly in the fact that they're black, blue, and purple, pardon me. But they also have a symbol inside that matches like a deck of cards so that if you have colorblind issues, you can see it that way. And then there is this crystal well, so to speak, here that will give you a crystal that comes into play every turn. And if you don't use it, it stays there. If you do use it, you re-roll it. And to roll this, you basically flip it up and see which side goes to the top. Now, the basic deal here is you are going to be taking 3 of these actions, and the actions that you have are the abilities. You can use 3 abilities per turn, and the abilities that you use will allow you to do some type of move or some type of attack or some type of influence, etc., or block. And these arrows show you the direction you can go in. And when you're on the early levels, you can only go between the yellow abilities. And as you level up, you can add the white ones to the yellow. And as you get to the final upper levels, you can add all of them together. And that gives you a lot of flexibility and allows you to do a lot of different things. And so instead of playing cards like Mage Knight, this is what is going to drive your action. It's that. All right. So then you have everything you really need to know listed on these cards, which is really nice. So one of the challenges I had with Mage Knight was I always had to feel like I had to relearn it a lot and look into the rules and everything else. This does a good job showing me kind of what's going on. And the rule book itself is in really pretty good shape. It's very, it explains things clearly. It has some examples, although I know that I think the designer is considering adding more examples in some form before they launch before he launches the product through GameCrafter in the coming weeks, just to help people see, clarify different things. At least I think that's his intent. But these are very helpful because it tells you all of what the spaces do on the map. It tells you what types of monsters and how to deal with that, how to deal with tunnels, the physical resistance and a trap and magic resistance, etc., which is very important. And then what are the monsters' upgrade abilities going to be for? So it indeed is quite a small footprint game. And what you're basically doing when you're going to pack it up, you're supposed to be able to put this all back into that sleeve, shut this, and that's it. And you've got what you need, which is cool. All right, now without mixing these two together, let me just see if it's a second copy, because I think it is. And I can give this to my local flags. Yeah, this definitely looks like, I'm just kind of looking at it off screen. I want to mix them together. All right, so looking at that bonus map, for instance, is that different? It actually is. Is it? It actually is not. Sorry. I don't know what I was looking at. I was seeing something else. So it looks like I have a second copy here of the game, and that is fine. I will use that to try to help promote the game. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to play it. I've read the rules. In the coming days, after I feel like I've got it really down, I will absolutely provide a solo review and give you some feedback on what I think of it and how it compares to, does it do the job? Does it accomplish what it's looking to do, which is be a Mage Knight game in your pocket. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And as I always say, whatever you do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy.